all my information. I'll also put it in the comments.
Good picture.
Yeah, thanks. This is the best way to get a hold of me. Email, phone number, that's my cell. It's my direct contact for sure. I loved it. So we did the renovations, and then with our kids in the school district and with us starting the trucking company, we wanted to move because we wanted to make sure that they were in a place that had, I don't want to say better school districts, but we wanted them to be more independent than they were where we were living. So in between that time, that is when I quit my job. So we started a trucking company, and we were not going to be able to qualify for another mortgage at that time. So we found somebody that was going to do a lease option with us, and we moved out. And so we had a 2-year lease option into the house that I live in now. So in those 2 years, we were going to, ramp up our trucking company and be able to qualify. That was a plan. So they took a risk on us. Most lease options don't complete. So we were very lucky, but at the same time, we didn't want that house that we just put so much money into to be empty, because it was what happened once will happen again. Someone was going to go in there and just strip everything. So we were just asking around. We put a couple ads out on Craigslist, and we found somebody who moved in. He was just a single guy who had an older friend that were going to move in, and they were going to take care of it and even do a little bit of renovations here and there. And we did a rental lease with them. They moved in the same day that we moved out. Yep, go ahead.
So I need clarification on why anyone would do a lease option. I guess for you as the renter, it gives you certainty that the owner is not going to sell it while you're living to somebody else while you're living there. Is that why you do it?
No, we lease option our personal property that we moved into in Lexington, Missouri.
It also gives you a chance to build up the down payment.
Build up the down payment. So the down payment for the purchase of the property was built into our payments every month.
So yeah,
Right. But
Okay.
it's saying
Another reason why you would do something like that was if you can't qualify for a loan.
that's right. I couldn't qualify for the loan right now because we had just started our trucking company.
So that lets you purchase the house.
Right.
Because
and they were paying 2 mortgages. They had an empty house that they had on the market that no one was buying because it was rural. And so they were paying 2 mortgages for 8 months.
So you were moving into a house you couldn't afford to buy.
Correct.
So you decided to say, hey, owners, you're desperate, but we don't have the money to buy it.
No.
So can we arrange a lease option with you where we pay you rent, and part of the rent will be considered part of the down payment? That's where I'm getting lost right there.
Yes, it was built into the lease option.
Okay.
So $100 of every payment that we made to the owner was going towards the purchase of the property.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Right.
And Susan, it may or may not have been that they could or could not afford it.
Right.
Couldn't qualify for a loan.
That's right.
Yeah.
We didn't have 2 years. Right.
Income, and they just started a business.
Right. So we had to build up 2 years of business history in order to qualify.
I kind of should know that because I'm a banker. Yeah, I know that. In the back, in like this part of my brain, this part was like, huh? Thank you.
So, which, I mean, we had the credit score, we had everything else. So, even to make them feel a little bit more comfortable, I even talked to a lender and I was like, can you just write something up saying this is the only thing that you need from us? Other than that, we qualify. And they were happy to do that.
Gotcha.
So again, they were still taking a risk with us. So I really, really appreciated it. Yeah, and so then we moved 2017. So we had that property, and then we attained 2 more single families, and I was running a trucking company. I was working in the trucking company. I was property managing. This was the only one in Kansas, and have 4 kids, all in sports. It was a busy, busy, busy time. And I told my husband, I was like, you know what? I'm really sick of going to Kansas. Like, I don't even want to go over there anymore. They didn't have a bank account. I was running over there to grab, the payment every single month. And I was just really done. And so we talked to them. They had been renting from us for a couple of years. So then we got them seasoned, and we were ready to take some of the equity out of that house and put it into something else. At that time, we wanted to scale up and get a 4-plex. So just had that conversation. You guys want to go see if you can qualify. I knew they couldn't. They didn't have a bank account. So I was like, you guys, they went ahead and talked to somebody. They're like, yeah, we can't. We're like, okay, what if we're the bank? What if we do this for you? So we went ahead and refinanced. Well, I'd say refinance, but actually we just took a personal commercial, or not a conventional loan out on that property. So at that time it appraised for $95,000. So we took the $95,000, paid off what remained on the home equity line of credit, took that equity, and actually put that down on the 4-plex. So that was the BRRRR strategy. We had a renter in place. They're paying the mortgage. We cash flowed every single month. And then we just used that and put it into something else. We were still having the conversation with them. They weren't quite sold on the whole contract for deed. So it took about another year of them renting. And they finally decided, okay, we understand this and we're ready. So by that time, it was 3 years. They had been renting. They'd been paying every single month on time. And like I said, that's being called seasoned. And so talked to Julie Anderson, and she's the one that wrote up all the contracts. And again, I did that because of what we had dealt with the other contract for deed. All the bad things that I've heard. So I personally, it was just my preference to get an attorney involved. So at no point in time did they think if they pissed me off one day, I was going to just rip it out from underneath them. So there was an origination fee of $1,500 to set everything up. $500 of that went to Julie. And then we set it up. Our conventional loan was 4% over 15 years. Their loan was going to be 8% over 20 years. And purchase price was $1,055. So it changed. We were obviously going to make more, and we were going to cash flow. So, they were perfectly fine with that. And that's, oh, go ahead.
I'm curious, what was their rent payment before? And then what was their mortgage payment to you after?
So it was $850, and then it went to $955. So it didn't increase by too much.
For them, for an extra $105 a month,
They were going to own it.
Ownership
Right.
of the house versus renting.
Right.
It's a win-win.
So, well, and oh, go ahead.
Sorry, me again.
No, that's okay.
So what you did was you had a loan yourselves with a traditional a mortgage loan,
Right.
but you were the bank for them. So their loan was to you.
So, okay. One more thing I'll clarify. Before we did the contract with them, I quit claimed it and put it in an LLC.
Right.
Which I did verify with the bank. It was absolutely fine with them. They didn't care. Me and my husband were the persons that own the LLC. We still guaranteed the loan, the note. So the contract for deed was with the LLC
Right.
and them.
Okay, so you had
So
the
that was
loan
that
with the bank.
protection.
So you originally took the loan out in your names and
In our
then you
personal
just quit
names.
claimed it to your LLC. And then the
Correct.
LLC is what actually sold it to your renters.
Right.
And then they were making payments to you and there was a margin between the two, what you were paying to the bank and what they were paying you. Okay.
Right. Right.
And Serena, here's one of the questions that I have. So it was a contract for deed. So the people that are purchasing it do not get the deed until it's paid off, which is standard. But as far as tax benefits, are you getting the tax benefits?
Yes.
Or are the owners the new owners?
I'm getting the tax benefits because
So
it's
the-
wrapped. I am
people that
still the
purchase-
owner.
Right. So the people that purchase the house, until the loan gets paid off, they aren't getting any of the tax deductions or the tax benefits that come with owning the property.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And
Wouldn't
I
they
get
get
taxed. And I get
mortgage
taxed like a. No.
Hmm.
Nope. They do not.
And that's one of the areas that I've had issue with because yeah. Because I'm in one right now that I sold subject to. And they have since sold it to someone else. So I'm just trying to make sure that I understand where all the taxes and things hit.
Right. Yeah. I get taxed like a landlord still. So I don't have to do the property management. You know, I have a home warranty in place for any fairly, big things. I hold the insurance. So, I mean, those are, potential liabilities that you might think about. But for me, this worked because my biggest thing was I just didn't want to go over Kansas if I didn't have to. I wanted them to take care of all the stuff that they were calling me for. So all the little things.
That's huge. I totally get that.
Right. To me, that's huge. And that's what I wanted. I still wanted all the benefits. I just didn't want to keep running over there. So
Bob,
and-
Bob, we definitely want to hear from you. I don't know how much you've been able to hear of the conversation,
sorry.
but at some
Yeah,
point, it doesn't
yep.
have to be now, but we do want to hear from you on the tax implications of all this, because these are awesome ideas.
Okay. I'm sorry I wasn't keeping up with it, though.
So, Serena, you said, I'm confused. You were talking about contract for deed, and then you mentioned wraparound mortgage. What are we talking about right now with this house project you just did? Is it both?
Yes, that contract for deed is the wraparound because I had a loan on that property. I had a mortgage. So the contract for deed wraps my mortgage. And that's held in its own bank account. Everything is separate. So that is extremely important.
So the bank still holds the first rights.
Right.
Right.
Are you making the payment or the tenant?
I am.
Okay.
I control that. Yep.
Well,
Let's see.
it's similar to what they call subject to as well. I mean, sort of in that the way the subject
Yeah.
twos are working right now.
Yeah.
Some of them.
No, because it's actually, the deed is actually recorded in the new person's name.
Okay, so the
Subject-
deed
Right.
is recorded in the new purchaser's name, but you still keep all of the tax
original
benefits.
The original note stays in place, but the deed changes names.
And you're talking about on a subject to deal.
That's what she's talking about, is the subject to.
Yeah.
And I think
So
that's a lot riskier.
Yeah.
Subject to the title transfers.
Correct.
Whereas the deal that you did, the title does not
It
transfer.
does not
Does not
transfer
transfer until the last payment
the
is
last
made.
payment. Yeah.
And a release is then filed. So the bad thing about this, and that's why that is so important, my husband had a spur of a moment buy, and we bought a property for $4,000. And it was over in the East Bottoms. So it was a great property. But what we didn't know is there is a cloud on the title. So we bought it in January of 2018. And in September, the Missouri Department of Revenue put a lien on the property that I wasn't aware of. And it was from 3 owners previous that had a contract for deed. So they did not, nothing that was filed after that point. It took me 10 months to get that cloud released because of that contract for deed.
Now, are you, during those 10 months, are you able to make improvements, rent it out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, we
You're
own the
still making
property. Yeah. No. We
And
just
then-
owned it outright.
And then did you end up having to pay that?
No.
Lien?
Nope.
You just
No.
had to prove that
Yeah,
wasn't.
it was total over that property because it had past water bills that were connected to it. It had tons of horrible things that you could think of. And we saved over $5,000 just by going back and talking to everyone, like the water department. There was a $2,500 of previous water bills on it. So I went up there and I just talked to him. I said, we owned it at this time. And they said, fine, we'll take it from that point on. And it was 100. And I said, okay. I said, these are averaged out. I was like, when's the last time you guys checked the meter? And they're like, oh, I was like, I'd really like you guys to go out and read the meter. There was no meter. It wasn't even there. So it took us 3 appointments, by the way. They canceled twice on me. So it took me 3 different appointments to meet the meter guy there. And it ended up, they just completely erased everything. And all I had to do was pay $100 just to open an account. But it
What do
was
you do?
asking the right questions and talking to the right people.
That's brilliant. What are you doing with the property now, Serena?
Actually, there was a fire on the property. And I found somebody that wanted to buy the land. So he demoed it and I took care of the title issues. So it was a win-win for everybody.
Did a water meter ever get put on there?
No. And we basically broke even, but it was a great learning experience.